Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Let's learn computer science.
Welcome back. Today's session is about multimedia. Under that, we are going to cover graphics. And under graphics, we have bitmap and vector images. Syllabus reference. Show understanding of how data for a bitmapped image is encoded. So you should be aware how bitmapped images they are represented in computer, and there is some important terminology like pixel, file header, image resolution, screen resolution, color depth, or bit depth. Then you should be able to calculate file size, right? Then effect of changing elements of bitmap image, right? Then show understanding of how data for vector graphic is encoded and justify the use of bitmap images or a vector graphic for a given task. So this is syllabus reference, right? So let's start with first topic is bitmap images. Okay, so bitmap images basically are made up of pixels. Now, before I start about bitmap images, you should understand basic terminology about bitmap images. So first thing is pixel. So what is pixel? Pixel is basically picture element. So this stands for picture element, right? Picture element is smallest identifiable picture element that makes up an image, right? The smallest element of an image is known as a pixel, and we can, give it any color, and then altogether, uh, each pixel will have its own color, and then image is generated accordingly. Normally, pixels are square shape. However, they can take any shape, right? Like in this image, if you look here, I have created a plus sign using pixels, and this is done using Excel. In Excel, each cell is colored to create this image of a plus sign, right? This is a bitmap image. Now, next terminology which is related to bitmap images is file header. So file header, it contains information about the bitmap image, like how the graphic has been constructed, or it contains information about file format, about file size, or number of bits per pixel. It also stores location, offset of an image data. It contains image resolution, color depth, or type of compression, if n. So this is what is there in file header. So one mark questions sometimes are there in past papers to, where you have to explain what is a pixel or define file header or match the following under these kind of questions that match the following. You have to match their definition with the term. Then we have image resolution. Image resolution is total number of pixels in the bitmap file, or uh, 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 if you want to understand it in uh, more simpler terms, then the product of width and the height values. So you must have seen, 520 by 520 or 1048 into 520. So that is image resolution, where width wise and height wise pixels are given. That gives you, their product gives you image resolution. Now, next is screen resolution. Now, screen resolution is basically the number of horizontal pixels and the number of vertical pixels that make up the whole screen display. Image is displayed on a screen. So, if your screen size is smaller than the image, then your full image cannot be shown on the screen. Okay. Next is color depth. Now, color depth and bit depth, they are normally used interchangeably, these both terms. So color depth is basically the number of bits used to represent a pixel, or we, in simpler terms, we say bits per pixel. How many bits are used to denote one pixel? Okay, the number of bits used to represent each of the red, green, and blue color. Or there is a formula also. So 2 raised to power 8 bits, they give you 256 colors. So if you have 8 bits, then you can represent 256 colors, right? So 8-bit color depth can represent 256 colors. So this formula you should remember always, because this the questions on file size in the past papers, there this formula becomes very handy in calculation of color depth, right? Okay, now bitmap images. Let's come back to our main topic, which is bitmap images. So these images are basically made up of pixels of different color, right? These can be monochrome pictures, these can be, n number of colors are used in a particular image. So these are made up of pixels. Now, it is possible to edit each of the pixels in case there is a need to change the design of the image. So you can just change the design of the image by just changing the pixels, individual pixels. Now, because there is use of pixels, so file size is very large. However, because file is created using pixels, so very accurate designs, and they are usually very realistic. Okay. Now, bitmap images, they get pixelated when you scale them up, right? They become pixelated. You must have seen when you zoom in or zoom out, you see there is a change in the pixels. You start seeing those square shapes on the image, and image, it gets, it becomes blurred, right? So that is called pixelated images. So bitmap images, they become pixelated. File formats basically used for bitmap images are JPG, BMP, PNG. Okay. So that's all about bitmap images. Now, file size calculation. So in your exam papers, you get questions to calculate file size, right? So let's see, let's understand this topic with the help of a past paper question. So they have given a picture can be drawn and is saved as a monochrome bitmap image. So when it is monochrome image, that means only two colors are there, black and white, right? We have just seen that formula up there, this one, right? So if there are two colors, then how many, what is the bit depth, what is the color depth, you can calculate using that. So 2 raised to power x is, they have given you two colors. So from here you get that there are two colors. So what is value of x to make it 2? So 2 raised to power 1 is 2. So that is why x is 1 and 1 is the bit depth. So they are saying, so bit depth you get one is the bit depth, but they are saying state how many pixels are stored in 1 byte. Now they are asking you how many pixels are there in 1 byte. So 1 into 8, you get 8 pixels, right? Second question is, second picture has width 2048 and height 512, and it is saved as 256 color image. Now again, they have given you colors, but they have not given you bit depth or color depth. So you have to calculate bit depth. So if 256 colors are there, then bit depth is 8. Why? Because 2 raised to power x is equals to 256, right? And you have to calculate x value. So what raised to power 2 gives you 256? It is 8. So 8 is your bit depth. So bit depth is calculated. Now you have to calculate the file size in kilobytes. So first of all, multiply this 2048 into 512 into, multiply it with the bit depth into 8. So that is what we have done here. So resolution, image resolution into bit depth or color depth. This gives you answer in bits. Okay. Now they have asked you to calculate in kilobytes. So first of all, because this is in bits, so you have to divide it by 8 to make the answer in bytes. And then further you have to divide it by 1024 to get your answer in kilobytes. So divide by 8, divide by 1024, and you get 1024 bytes. Sorry, kilobytes, not bytes. So here you have to write K. Okay. So I'll just write here, this is kilobyte. All right. Now, our I have written all these steps that how to calculate a file size of any file. I have written all these steps here. Okay. So first of all, multiply number of pixels given width and height wise. So resolution you have to multiply, right? So if an image size is given like 512 into 512, so then you have to multiply that. Then you have to multiply that with the bit depth. So if bit depth is not given, you have to calculate it using this formula, right? And once this is multiplied, then you need to check that what is the measurement unit they have asked you to, get your answer in, whether it's kilobyte, whether it's megabyte, or whether it's bits only. So if it is, any uh, measurement unit other than bits, then you have to convert it. So now finally convert bits into final measurement unit in which file size is asked for. So that is what we have done up here. That answer we got in bits, then we converted it to bytes by dividing it by 8, and then further we converted it to kilobytes because answer was asked in kilobytes. So we further divided it by 1024. Okay. So that is how file size is calculated. Now there is another topic in your syllabus, effects of changing elements of bitmap image on file size and image quality. So what is the impact, what is the effect of changing your image resolution, how the file size and image quality is impacted? That is what you must understand, because there are questions in the past paper based on this topic. So higher the resolution of an image, more will be the file size. So if you increase the file resolution, image resolution, your file size will become larger. If number of pixels used to represent the image is increased, so if you increase, bit depth or color depth, then also file size will be increased. And ultimately, this will, this will take more time to upload or download a file. So if your file size is more, then it will take you more time to upload or download a file from the internet. Also, if resolution is decreased, so if decrease the image resolution, then image quality will also be reduced. So decreasing the resolution will decrease the quality, increasing the resolution will increase in the image quality. So that is how your file size and image quality impacted. Okay. Next topic is vector images. Now, vector images, basically they are created using some geometric shapes or some mathematical functions. Like I have created one image using circle shape. So you just use one mathematical function and you create those different logos or shapes using that mathematical function or shape, right? So vector images that use 2D points to describe lines and curves and their properties that are grouped to form geometric shapes. Okay, so that's, as I said, that you use mathematical functions and shapes to create any images. Vector graphics can be designed using computer-aided design, short form CAD, CAD software, or using an application which uses a drawing canvas on the screen. So there are many softwares where there are some shapes and you can just draw your image using those shapes. So that is how vector graphics are created. When printing out a vector graphics, it is usually necessary to first convert it into bitmap image. So whenever you have to print it, you have to convert it into a bitmap image to match the format of the most printers. A vector graphic file usually they use considerably less memory space than bitmap images, and basic file formats are .svg, cgm, and odg. So these are basic file formats. All right. Now, important terminology which is related with the vector images. Number one, drawing object. So drawing object is basic component of any image. So component defined by geometric formula or associated properties is called drawing object. Now, each drawing object, it has a drawing list. So this list contains a command for which each object included uh, for each object included in the image. So whatever image, whatever object you have to draw, for that there is a command in the drawing list. Okay, and each command has list of attributes, and this drawing list, it is included in the file header, and this contains one set of values for each drawing object, right? The default values. So if you are drawing a circle, so you have to have some basic default values for that. Now, what is a property? Property defines one aspect of the appearance of the drawing object. In simpler terms, properties include the basic geometric data, such as for a circle, the position of the center and its radius. So if you are creating a circle, of course, you have the basic property that you need to know is from where, what is the center point from where you have to draw the circle, and what is the radius of the circle, so that you can draw the circle properly, right? So this is important terminology that you must know. There are some questions in the past papers based on these. Now, you also must know that which type of graphics, whether vector or bitmap image, should be used in a given scenario. You should be able to justify that in the particular scenario given, vector or bitmap image, which one is to be used. So a vector graphic is chosen if the diagram is needed to be constructed for an architectural, engineering, or manufacturing design. So anything related to, computer-aided design, architect, engineering, manufacturing, any design related to that, we suggest vector graphics. If a vector graphic file has been created, but there is a need to print it, then this file has to be converted to a bitmap image first, right? A digital camera automatically produces a bitmap. So if you are given a scenario where it is mentioned that some person is clicking some pictures using digital camera, what type of image is produced? So very clear that bitmap image is produced in such case, right? A bitmap file is choice for insertion of an image into a document, publication, or web page. Whenever there is a situation related to documentation, publication, or web page creation, at that time, your answer should be that this bitmap image is suggested to be used, right? Okay, then we have some past paper questions uh, from May 2022, 961812. So draw one line from each image representation term. So as I said, you have to have an understanding of basic terminology. So there is one question. So what is a pixel, bit depth, image resolution, file header? There are some definitions given. You just have to match them. So pixel is the smallest identifiable component of an image. Bit depth, the number of bits used to represent each color. Image resolution, the number of pixels wide by the number of pixels high, height into width. File header stores data about the image file, that is file format, number of bits per pixel, file size. So we have just learned about all this. So you get 3 marks if you match all 4 correctly. Otherwise you'll lose your marks. Next question is about the following section of bitmap image is 10 pixels wide and 5 pixels high. In this example, each color is represented by a letter. So B is for blue, R is for red, and so on. There are multiple colors in the image. So the complete image can have up to 256 colors. Again, 256 colors are given, but bit depth is not given. So we have to calculate bit depth. So I have calculated it here. What raised to power 2 gives you 256? It is 8, right? So 8 is bit depth or color depth for this particular image, right? So identify the smallest number of bits that can be used to represent each color in the, so they have asked you only to, identify number of bits. So we have identified by calculating here. So 8 is the answer. Now, next question is calculate the estimate for the file size. So file size calculation for the section of the bitmap image shown above. So here, okay, in this image, what is the file size? So resolution given 10 by 5. So 10 into 5 multiplied by bitmap, which is 8. Now, they are asking that give your answer in bytes, right? So 10 into 8 into 10 into 5 into 8 gives you 400 bits. Now these 400 bits you can convert it to bytes by 8. By dividing it by 8, it gives you answer in bytes. So 50 bytes is the answer. Okay. Now, next question is describe how changing the color depth of an image affects its file size. We have just learned, effects of changing color depth or resolution on the file size. So file size will be increased if color depth is increased and will be decreased if color depth is decreased. So you have to write 2 points as there are 2 mark question. And here in upper question also you have to show working because it is of 2 marks. 1 mark is for answer, 1 mark is for working. You have to show working, how you reach to the conclusion. Now here also you have to write 2 points. So first point is you have written about if color depth is increased, file size is increased. Second point is more color depth means more data can be stored, and lower the color depth means less data can be stored, right? So okay. Next question is scanned image is a bitmap image. So bitmap image is given. Complete the following table to describe the 2 terms about graphics. So pixel you have to define, and file header. So we have just learned pixel is picture element or smallest picture element of an image, and file header is it contains data about the image. It can have file format, file size, number of bits per pixel, etc., etc. So anything you can write about it. So 2 marker question. So you get full marks if both the terms are explained properly. Now, again, one more question about image resolution. So 1024 into 512 pixels and color depth is also given. So here it's given already. You're not given colors, you're given color depth. So this multiplied by color depth, and you have to figure out answer in megabytes. So you have to reach to conclusion, and you have to give it in megabytes. So first of all, 1024 into 512 into 8, this gives you bits. Then because you have to reach you have to get your answer in megabytes, so firstly you divide by 8 to get in bytes, then further 1024 to get it in kilobytes, sorry, kibibytes, and then further divided by 1024 to get answer in megabytes. So 0.50 is your final answer. Right, so that's all for today. In today's session, we have covered all about multimedia, including bitmap images and vector images. So all this uh, all the topics which are mentioned here in this is syllabus reference, I have covered all these topics in today's session. So that's all. Thank you.